Jon Scheyer's got some Jay Wright in him. He's got some Jay Wright in him. And I know that he's got a long career ahead of him to get those types of numbers, but listen to the post-game interview. Jeff, did you hear him? He goes, we got back to the fundamentals. What was Villanova built on? Stopping on 2 feet, using your pivot foot, doing the basics, culture. Knippel's answers are all, some of them are flat out boring. But that's how some of those elite Villanova teams got it done, where they didn't give away too much in the press conferences. They didn't reveal much bulletin board material. When they stepped on the floor, though, man, they got killer instinct. And, Rob, I thought we felt that tonight. When you think about Alabama coming in this game, to see Mark Sears, we thought that he could have issues with Duke's length, but he shot 2 of 12. And Alabama shot 8 for 32. You were sitting courtside, Rob. What did you make of one, the way that Duke was able to stop Bama, but two, like how did Bama only manage to score 65 points in this game when they averaged 91?
Well, I don't think it was just what Duke did defensively that made Mark Sears have that tough of a night, right? One of the things that you can do when you really want to take an offensive player out of a rhythm is to go at him every possession defensively, and that's what they did. In the second half especially, they really hunted the matchups with Mark Sears. They would kind of run a little bit of fake motion, with a little bit of false offense, and find a way to be able to get a matchup where somebody was being guarded by Mark Sears, and they went at him over and over and over again. And I think that Mark Sears kind of looked tired by the end of that game. And when you combine having to play defense on every single possession with the fact that he has to go and create against someone where he can't just pull up and shoot from 28 feet over the top of them, that was the biggest problem that Alabama had. And look, I loved what Jon Scheyer did when it came to just tweaking little things on the defensive end of the floor. And there are two moments that really stood out to me. One was in the first half, right after Aiden Sherrill banged home those 2 threes, what he immediately started doing was switching everything 1 through 5. Before that, they were switching everything 1 through 4 and just playing common in a really deep drop. He immediately started switching everything 1 through 5. And later in the first half, there was a possession where they brought in Patrick Ngamba, and on the first possession, he missed a switch, and they got Grant Nelson driving lane to the layup. Scheyer calls a timeout and immediately brings in Malik Brown, and they start switching everything 1 through 5 because Alabama had gone to a smaller lineup. He knew what he wanted to do against the different lineups that Alabama had. He knew what the answer was going to be, and he wasn't afraid of making those changes immediately. And to me, that is what coaching is right there. It's not just the game plans. It's not just recruiting. It's the in-game management. And I thought that tonight was a masterclass from Jon Scheyer. I was really impressed with what he was able to do possession by possession. He has complete control over that game. As soon as they get the ball over half court, everybody on that team is looking at him. He's calling out a play. And most of the time, it ends up working.
Jeff, you've been covering Jon Scheyer a long time. You covered him as a player. You're now covering him as a coach. Tonight, he got his 89th win at Duke in his 3rd year. That matches Brad Stevens in his first 3 years at Butler and Brad Underwood in his first 3 years at Stephen F. Austin for the most wins by a head coach in their first 3 years. The next win will give him the record. When you think about Jon, and at the age of 37, he had the unenviable task of replacing Mike Krzyzewski. What do you make of the job that he has done?
You know, the great thing about Jon Scheyer you could always say about him was his maturity and his intelligence. You know, that's on the court and off it. Now, he can have some fun. We've seen it, right? We've all seen it. But for the most part, you know, he's a guy that can connect with these players. He's young enough to be able to do that. And in today's day and age, that's everything right now. And he learned from the best. He learned from the GOAT as a player, as a coach. And I think that has obviously served him very well here. Because, again, he's able to do everything with this program. And he's also able to delegate. You know, he can give some of these guys like Chris Carrawell. He's got Rachel Baker as the GM. He understands how to give people certain things to take off his plate at a young point in his career. But in year 3 to go to the Final Four, you know, really, really impressive because think about this, guys. Since 2010, Coach K went to 2 Final Fours, 2 in the last 11 NCAA tournaments that he participated in, that he was eligible for. He went to 2. Jon Scheyer's gone to one in his third season. And if you don't think that taste was in his mouth for the last year after that NC State loss, you are crazy, because I'm telling you, that was burning for him.
Yeah, and the other thing that I'll add with that is we don't see coaches stay places for long periods of time anymore. Like how many coaches that younger generation do we think he could be there for 30 years? He could be a guy that ends as long as Coach K was at Duke. Jon Scheyer is at the pinnacle already. Like he is at the
see if we can get Rob back here.
When my son,
Rob, we'll see if we can get you back here in a moment. I just don't want you to come in choppy and see. Jeff, yeah, like that's just it. He's proving. I know he's early in his tenure still relative to what our expectations were. But the fact is we didn't know what to expect. Like, we knew he was going to be able to recruit. He came out swinging. He hadn't even fully gotten the job yet, like taking over the job, and you could tell he was putting the bricks in place. He had 9 5-star recruits right out of the gates. But that was never going to be an issue for him at Duke. But to the people who are like, because right now, you know what it's like, Jeff, social media. Well, he gets the best players. Yeah, but it's how he uses the talent. And it's the fact that he got a Sion James. He got a Mason Gillis. The construction of the roster, Jeff, was really perfect.
That's everything. Now, again, it starts with the most versatile player in the country, in Cooper Flagg. You tell him, hey, go get 30. He's done it. Go get 10 assists. He's done it. Go get 15 boards. He's done it. Go just be the best defensive player on the court. He can do that too. He can do whatever you want. But again, sticking with Tyrese Proctor was key, because some coaches would have said, you know what? Let's turn the page on this guy. He had a rough year. He had a terrible final game against NC State where he didn't make a shot. Maybe it's time. Either hit the portal or even put your name in for the NBA draft. We'll find somebody else. We got Isaiah Evans coming in, who's a knockdown shooter. But he's stuck with Proctor. And again, that's one of the things that I think Scheyer can do, right? He can figure out the buttons to push with these different players. He can be a psychiatrist to some degree, because he's gone through all this before at the highest level. This is a guy that had to play point guard on their national title team. This is a guy whose career ended prematurely because of an eye accident. So he's dealt with a lot of adversity. He knows how to keep these guys in the right frame of mind when they are going through some ups and downs. But you're right. I mean, he put together this team, Fana, that is perfectly woven in terms of, again, Malowacz being that rim protector, that lob catcher that we see tonight in the Derek Lively mold. You look at Kahn, and I talked to Kahn a few years ago, Tony Bennett, about Kahn a few years ago at the Peach Jam. Man, he raved about this kid. He didn't play at the Peach Jam. He was playing on another circuit or another event, and he was taking a flight out to see Kahn and absolutely raving about this kid. And now I know why. And this is just a really good team, not just Cooper Flagg. This is a really good team coached by a young superstar.